Let's be honest, there have been times where the famous Super Saiyan form was just super confusing. Today we'll take a look at aspects of this form that fans can't quite figure out. Dragon Ball fans know that winning a battle isn't just about being the most powerful fighter out there, although that certainly doesn't hurt. There's definitely an element of mind over matter that comes into play during many fights, both in the franchise and in real life as well. In fact, the ability to go Super Saiyan seemed to be linked to the character's emotional state, at least at first. Supposedly, the ability to achieve this legendary transformation was based on a need, not a desire, meaning that simply wanting to accomplish this feat wasn't enough. Goku went Super Saiyan for the first time after watching the dreaded Frieza wipe out his best friend Krillin, an act which devastated Goku. Despite the fact that he'd lost his bald bestie before. But the massive outpouring of emotion he felt led to him turning Super Saiyan, leading fans to believe that this was an incident of mind over matter. We've seen Vegeta go Super Saiyan due to the sheer frustration of being unable to do so, and Goku taught Gohan how to pull it off by letting himself rage against Cell and Frieza. The emotional component of this move made a lot of sense to fans, until it was completely changed with no real explanation. Up to a certain point, going Super Saiyan was a huge, meaningful moment for these warriors, but by the time Goten and Trunks came around, it was seemingly not a big deal. Goten and Trunks could pull off this supposedly advanced move as kids and with no real meaningful motivation. We watched Goku go through all kinds of hardships as a kid in Dragon Ball, and this never happened to him, not even when he fought Demon King Piccolo. This can't even purely be explained away by the fact that Goten and Trunks are half Saiyan, and thus could potentially be more powerful since it wasn't this easy for Gohan to achieve. It was like Super Saiyan got a serious downgrade with no real explanation. Let's face it, as much as we love some of the human characters in the Dragon Ball universe, they just can't compete with the strength of the Saiyans, and their ability to go Super Saiyan is a big reason why. In fact, unlike a lot of the other moves on the show, it genuinely does seem too good to be true. A character can take time to charge up a massively powerful move, but this gives their enemy a chance to dodge, deflect, or interrupt an attack before it can be completed. But Super Saiyan was insanely strong from the beginning, and only got more powerful with time. It didn't come with any of the typical drawbacks that could be exploited during battle. The only real exception to this was the form future Trunks used in his fight with Cell. In order to buff his strength, he had to sacrifice some of his speed, but for the most part, becoming Super Saiyan is the best possible move. Until another Saiyan transformation becomes available. It just doesn't seem to fit in with the other techniques that have been established over the course of the series. One reason it's so difficult to get information about going Super Saiyan is because, well, there aren't many Saiyans left. And since Frieza destroyed Planet Vegeta, our heroes can't even access any records or evidence that might have provided some powerful insight. But not only does this make things confusing for the characters, but for the fans as well. Going Super Saiyan is tied into the past of the Saiyans, and their story has been inconsistent at best. In Bardock, the father of Goku, it looks kind of like our own green-blue Earth. Yet when Raditz talks about it in Dragon Ball Z, it's red and green with rings. According to Vegeta, the Saiyans started warring with the native Tuffles after being treated terribly by them for years. But according to Baby in Dragon Ball GT, the Saiyans launched the attack with no provocation. This could be attributed to Baby and Vegeta's different perception of events, but what we do know is that it was the Saiyans' ability to transform into great apes that turned the tide of the battle and allowed them to claim victory. So if the Saiyans were so in touch with this particular transformation, why is it that even Vegeta doesn't know the truth about Super Saiyans? Considering Trunks and Goten can do it no problem, how mysterious could it have really been on an entire planet filled with Saiyans? According to Dragon Ball lore, the Saiyans' ability to go Super Saiyan has something to do with the amount of S cells they have in their bodies. Since hybrids like Goten have more S cells, this is used to explain why he and Trunks were able to achieve the form so easily. Although since Gohan had to work so hard, it really just raises more questions than answers. But anyway, S cells are another aspect of the form, and really the franchise that can be pretty confusing. If you're into Star Wars, you can kind of think of them like the midichlorians of the Dragon Ball universe. Supposedly, being a tender-hearted Saiyan means you have more S cells and can therefore achieve Super Saiyan more easily. And as I mentioned earlier, this ability was so rare that some Saiyans considered it a mere legend. So you would think that to get enough S cells, you'd have to be nice at least some of the time. Yet in Dragon Ball Heroes, we see that Cumber, who's known as the Evil Saiyan, also has the ability to transform. So do S cells really impact this ability or not? Supposedly, in the Dragon Ball universe, hybrid characters have the potential to be more powerful than full Saiyans, but that seems like it's only true about male characters, especially when becoming a Super Saiyan is concerned. There's Pan, the daughter of Gohan and Videl, who's a quarter Saiyan and doesn't get anywhere near the hype of her male relatives. In the Dragon Ball GT Perfect files, it's implied that Pan can actually transform, and might actually have the power to turn into a Saiyan form that hasn't been seen yet. But it's not very exciting since it didn't happen, plus I try to take anything associated with GT with a grain of salt. In fact, it took until Dragon Ball Super to finally see a female character achieve the transformation. Caulifla from Universe 6 was able to achieve it by concentrating her ki to her back, which makes us wonder why we've never seen Pan achieve this feat. Is there something about the Super Saiyan form that only affects males sometimes? Everybody knows that Akira Toriyama is the brilliant mind behind our beloved Dragon Ball, and everyone also knows that things generally take a downturn when he's not involved. Case in point, Dragon Ball GT. So you might be surprised to learn that the team at Toei Animation came up with the concept for Super Saiyan in the movie Dragon Ball Z Lord Slug. But then it was decided that this wasn't the real Super Saiyan transformation, and there was a lot of hand-waving and retconning, which resulted in what we saw in Lord Slug relabeled as the false Super Saiyan form. It's like Super Saiyan, but not. In the movie, Goku struggles to keep up with Lord Slug, but once he gets good and angry, he transforms into what we now know is just a pseudo-Super Saiyan form. Instead of making Goku go blonde, this form gives his skin a yellow tint, removes his irises, and surrounds him with a yellow aura. Even King Kai proclaimed that Goku had gone Super Saiyan, but apparently this was just something which was kind of like Super Saiyan, but not. Which makes perfect sense and isn't even a little bit confusing. Even though Frieza is a fearsome villain himself, he was threatened by the strength of the Saiyan race. At first, they really bonded over their love of causing pain and chaos throughout the universe. But Frieza eventually started to worry that the Saiyans would turn on him and he wouldn't be able to hold them off. So he went for the preemptive strike option and annihilated Planet Vegeta. But the poignant part here is that Frieza was worried about the Saiyans going Super Saiyan, the form so legendary that nobody could achieve it until they all did. Anyway, it just seems inconceivable that none of Frieza's Saiyan soldiers managed to do this during their time conquering other planets. We even saw Goku's dad Bardock go Super Saiyan in Dragon Ball episode of Bardock. Okay, it's more of a fun what-if scenario than anything else, but still. It definitely seems like going Super Saiyan isn't actually as legendary as it was made out to be. So why wasn't it a thing in Frieza's forces? Over the course of his career, Akira Toriyama has done certain things to make life easier for himself, and I definitely can't fault him for that. The whole reason he had Goku grow up was because it was too hard to draw little kid Goku fighting adult-sized enemies. Hey, you gotta work smarter, not harder. But sometimes it seems like turning Super Saiyan is more of a convenient plot device than a thoroughly thought-out form. Toriyama has even used it outside of the Dragon Ball franchise. A similar state appeared in his movie Dr. Slump, Arale-chan, Hoyoyo! Follow the Rescued Shark, which is just a great title. Toriyama even made Super Saiyans blonde so his assistant wouldn't have to spend so much time coloring in Goku's black hair. I'm not saying that I don't get hyped during Super Saiyan transformations. I'm not a monster, nor do I think Toriyama just phoned it in. But it definitely seems like there are some aspects of the form that were created out of convenience with little regard for the established lore of Dragon Ball. Let's forget about the pseudo-Super Saiyan we saw in Dragon Ball Z Lord Slug and talk about the time we saw him use this ability in Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge. It looks a lot more like the Super Saiyan transformations we've seen since then, but there's one interesting aspect I'd like to address. Goku goes up against Frieza's brother Cooler, and obviously it's a rather heated battle. Cooler's even stronger than his brother and threatens to destroy Earth just like Frieza did to Planet Vegeta. Just when Goku looks down and out, he turns Super Saiyan and uses his incredible new aura to heal a bird. Yeah, in the middle of this battle for the safety of the planet, Goku takes time to heal a critically injured bird with the aura he generated from going Super Saiyan. So this big awesome power-up also has the ability to heal? You know, that's the kind of thing you'd think would be useful or at least mentioned at some point. Yet we only ever see Super Saiyan used to harm, and not heal. Is this mode capable of healing people, or was this just an aspect of Super Saiyan that they tried out for Cooler's revenge and decided not to include in the canon? And we're talking about straight up healing here, not energy transference like he did with Frieza. And either way, Frieza really threw that one away. We all know that there are tons of different kinds of Super Saiyan transformations. Some might argue that there are too many, but let's not get into that can of worms right now. We're all familiar with Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Rosé, etc, 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 but why do only some of the Super Saiyan transformations have grades? There's Super Saiyan 3rd grade or Super Saiyan 1.5 and Super Saiyan 2nd grade, but why don't all of the Super Saiyan forms have grades? Why doesn't Super Saiyan 3 have a 2nd grade? It kinda seems like they started out with this idea and then realized it was way too much trouble to keep track of all the forms and grades. And as far as we know, that might be exactly what happened. After all that info, do you still find Super Saiyan confusing, or am I really overthinking things? Share your opinions with your fellow fans in the comment section down below, and then click on that subscribe button for more videos from us here at CBR. Thanks a whole bunch for watching, and we'll see you again next time.